You guys know what time it is. Get strapped in and ready for some good times. This is the Blowed Out Podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Episode 92 for this very, very hot week in Utah. My God. In fact, I believe on Sunday we hit 109 degrees in Salt Lake, breaking the record from like 1960, I think, if I read that right. Either way, it's been hot as hell. And now they're saying that we're transitioning into monsoon season, which I don't even know what that means. Also, it's always confused me. How do we go into monsoon season when we are literally drier than Mitch McConnell's mouth after eating cornbread from Golden Corral? My God. You can't make this up, man. I've been spitting into the box fan just so it blows back in my own face. And that's not even kinky. That's just to try and cool it down a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but when the truck blew up on the way back from the hill climbs, I probably told you guys this, but it took out all the rear AC lines and evacuated the system. Those lines go from the AC compressor under the hood all the way down the passenger side frame rail on top of the frame all the way to the rear of the car. And I want no part of replacing those. So I still have no AC in my black on black truck. I did find a nifty little billet block-off plate, so I've got to get that on and see if I can possibly find a minute to get the thing in to have it reserviced and hopefully get some AC back because, man, it is hot. In fact, it's so hot, and I think we joked last time about how Paris and all those clowns, sorry, let me rephrase that, not clowns, a bunch of folks across the pond, I know it's not you guys that listen to the show, but are blaming us for their heat wave. But I just saw, I think it was a TikTok or a reel, and it was a guy from, Great Britain, or I don't know where he was from, somewhere in Europe, and he was just talking about how everybody over there needs to just shut up because he just got to St. George, Utah, and it was like 44 Celsius or some ridiculous thing. He said that it is literally not even apples and apples. His skin was melting, feels like a blast furnace. Said that everybody over there does not even have a clue what hot is. And I would tend to agree with him because you know that when you open the door or roll down the window or depending on where you're at, and it literally just feels like a hairdryer, or when you open the oven to check on your pizza and all that, 3,000 degree air just rolls out right into your face. Yeah, that's the same exact feeling as walking outside around here lately. I suppose I should back that whole little rant up by saying I don't know if Mitch McConnell has ever had cornbread from Golden Corral, nor even, I shouldn't say that. Some stuff at Golden Corral is edible, and he may or may not actually still be of this earth. Depending on who you ask, the conspiracy mill is hitting on all cylinders on that one. The other thing, and we talk about it all the time, is that, honestly, I don't know if we're bombing the Strait of Hormuz, if we just bombed it, if we're about to bomb it, if we bombed it 300 times during the night. Who knows? I don't think anybody actually knows. Uh, I think half of the stuff that you see is either old or half of it is made up. Nobody knows. The New York Post or Times doesn't know. The Washington Post doesn't know. I don't think anybody actually knows at this point, other than folks who were over there somewhat in the vicinity. I don't know. I don't know if I was sitting on the beach in Abu Dhabi or Dubai or I don't know. I guess if you were in that crazy ass hotel that, from space looks like a palm tree, you could probably see what was going on from there, or at least dark spots if there was stuff on fire. Hell, I don't know. And I don't think anybody actually does. I maintain that, we just need to either do what we're going to do and get the hell out, or I don't know. Anyhow, there's much better stuff to talk about, I think, don't you? How is everybody? Guess we should have started with that. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope that, your week is going well. I would like to say that there was something big coming up in the way of holidays, but no. Some folks have Pie and Beer Day coming up here in Utah, but that's only if you work for a company that's, either headquartered here in Utah or actually allows its employees to celebrate that. I don't know. I haven't been able to in a very long time. So I don't count that one. Otherwise, we're in a 8 maybe week stretch until the next holiday. Ugh, that sounds awful. Thank God for working 410s, right? I guess luckily, at least around here, I don't know how it is where you guys are at. I presume, that much of the world is similar. We have all our local municipalities celebrating their heritage days. We have Pioneer Days, and we have Cherry Days, and, Strawberry Days, and whatever days, all the days. So at least there are things going on if you happen to be able to get a minute off and aren't afraid of melting in a fiery, spontaneous combustion puddle in the middle of a park somewhere. Then you can at least get out and enjoy those things. But I feel like you're going to run into the problem that I was about to bring up. We have established what I feel like it was a very long time ago, that common sense has left the chat, right? Common sense left the building a long time ago. But when did common courtesy leave the building? Was it the same time? I don't feel like it was the same time. But common courtesy is apparently now I don't give a shit about anybody but myself, so I'm going to do whatever I want because it's what I want and I don't care about anybody else. This gets really kind of disheartening when you're trying to still have some faith in humanity. For instance, this evening I was on my way home and I stopped for beverages, and there was a carload, what seemed to be a carload or a clapped out Chevy Tahoe load of people in front of me at the drive-thru. And you either get the ones that have an entire shopping list for the poor person at the window, or they order, 19 ice creams and 2 packs of cigarettes, and wait, I forgot something else, and I forgot this, and then they're paying with change. So 48 minutes later, then the window closes after they receive their said shopping list, and then they just sit there. Like, eating ice cream, or, I don't know, divvying out marching orders with ice cream. I don't know. But at what point don't you go, oh, shit, there's somebody behind me. I need to get out of the way. Or how about I don't get 300 items through the drive-up window? One or two things. Okay, sure. A couple of drinks for you and your lady. Whatever. A couple of frazzles for your kids. And a pack of smokes for dad. Whatever. Whatever it may be. But a couple of things is one thing. But then at some point, you have to be at least somewhat cognizant of your surroundings and go, oh, there's somebody behind me. I need to get my dumb ass out of the way. So, but no one seems to care. And there have been a lot of other examples in the last several days from people that will remain unmentioned that just have complete and total disregard for anyone's opinion or anyone's feelings other than themselves. And I just don't understand that. And I suppose I need to delve into this a bit further to solidify or to back those examples up. Let's say, you live in a household. Let's just put it that way. Doesn't matter, a couple of folks, not just you, right? Several folks, not just yourself. And you just decide that you're going to do something that will affect the entire household, but have no even remote regard for how they feel about it. You don't ask them what they think or if they're okay with it. You just show up with whatever it is you've done and basically just say, well, I did this, deal with it. Or, there isn't even a don't. There's not even a deal with it or don't. It's just deal with it. I did this because I wanted it, and I have absolute no regard for anyone but myself. Is that the new, body positivity thing? I don't care what anybody thinks of me or thinks about how I look. Okay, fine. No one is saying that you should. And I've always kind of struggled with that one because I'm a big dude. We all know this. So I have that opinion. I don't care if people think I'm fat. You think that I don't know that I'm fat? For the love of God? You call me fat ass like that is somehow going to open my eyes that I'm fat? What do you mean I'm fat? Oh my God. Check it out, man. I was 245. I was 6'1" and 245 pounds when I started varsity football my freshman year of high school. I've been giant my entire life, other than the 4 pounds I weighed when I was born. That clearly quickly remedied itself. And I think I've told you guys before somewhere, I still have the old school Gerber baby book that they used to give out, to new parents, new mothers and fathers with their baby. And it had a feeding, schedule. And you could write down, the doctor would write down notes in there and things, feeding schedules and amounts and whatnot for you to follow in your Gerber baby book. And I have mine, and it says, 4 pounds the day I was born. Well, I don't know. If I recall the stories, or if the stories were correct, I was in, the NICU or the incubator or whatever for 6 weeks or something before I could even go home. And then it was, Ryan needs to pack on weight. Ryan needs to pack on weight, feed him this much, this many times a day, blah. And then several months later, it just said, basically to paraphrase, has said, "Sweet Jesus, okay, stop feeding him." So it's no shocker to me that I'm a giant dude. Been that way, like I said, my whole life. So when I say that I don't care what people think of me, that's what I mean. I don't care if you think I'm fat. I know I'm fat. Christ. I don't care if you think it's funny that I'm bald. I'm bald on purpose. I mean, granted, yes, now that I'm getting old, it certainly doesn't come in nearly as well as it used to. But I shaved my head when my hair was clear down past the middle of my back because I was sick of having hair. Now I can't stand it, so even if it would grow back, I still wouldn't have hair. But those types of things is what I mean when I say I don't care. If I was 900 pounds and had to be forklifted out of my living room into onto a flatbed tow truck to be taken to instant care, yeah, I would probably care. There are certain levels of everything. But I still care, like, what people think. I still have common courtesy to say, oh, excuse me, sorry, boss, if I run into you in the store, or, if I bump into you, or we're trying to shimmy past each other in an elevator, or things like that. It's common courtesy. But when has it just become that? There's no sorry, there's no excuse me, there's no holding the door for folks, there's no getting out of people's way, there's no I don't give a shit if you sit behind me for 20 minutes at a light, there's no I don't give a shit if you don't like that, I just repainted the entire house pink and I'm not the only one that lives here, or, like all these things. When did that leave? When did that become a thing? And is it that bad, or does it seem that bad for you guys, or where you're at? I'm definitely curious to know. Because for me, it seems like it has been that way for a little while, and it apparently is just getting worse. And it's not just young people. We all know that young folks, some of the younger generations, are a real extra. whether it's the crackhead brain rot stuff, that they say, or not being able to write in cursive, or some of the stuff you see on the internet where the illiteracy rates and the inability to do simple math, all of those things are just rampantly out of control. But again, this is not just younger folks. This seems to be turning into everyone. And I can't wrap my head around that. Do you guys suppose that is a parenting issue? Or what about maybe not even a parenting issue? I mean, if it was ever a parenting issue, then it's still a parenting issue, at least in my mind. But what about, say, some folks, and if this is you, I'm not judging, I mean, maybe I am a little, but, not specifically, but I'd be curious to know, say, if you gave it hell, if you had, a child and you gave it hell till they were, well, I don't know, let's say 10, or 12, and you gave it everything you had, and this little shit was just, out of control, and no matter what you did, or how hard you tried, or anything else, it just would not click, and it just got worse, and it finally got to where you just threw your hands up. Does that still qualify? I think it does. But again, that's just my opinion. But I'm certain I probably know people personally who have had this issue, and also kind of had to do the same thing, for lack of resources or lack of ability to keep trying. I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. There have been plenty of times that I have wanted to throw my hands up and just walk away, but I never felt like I was able to. I mean, thank God, I brag about it all the time, but I really do have pretty damn good kids. I ain't gonna lie. That, I also partially feel like that comes from having a big, scary dad who refuses to let you be a little ratchet-ass terror everywhere we go. Now, I'm sure I've told you guys before in the old days that stuff never flew with me. You're not going to be that kid at Walmart or, Target or whatever. I don't care. No, unacceptable. I will not be the one that just stands there and lets you guys run ragged because I'm trying to shop or I don't want to put the effort into dealing with you. Again, everybody's entitled to do their own things, so I'm not trying to make that sound like, I'm passing judgment on anyone who has gotten to their end of the rope, or to the end of their rope, rather, and never looked back, But I'm curious if that's more than likely where a lot of these problems began or stem from. I'm certain that we've talked about it in the past. I have never been a fan. I mean, I didn't grow up in a timeout or non-physical household. And I honestly, I don't feel like that was a bad thing. Most of us Gen Xers, I think, were that way. We got the belt or the spoon or the shoe, or we got our asses whooped. And I personally don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's a lot of folks now that, that's abuse. You can't hit your child. You're part of the problem. Bullshit. I can whop my kid up the back of his head if he's acting a damn fool. That is not abuse. Abuse is hitting them with a fist or beating them repeatedly or tying them up in a, Christ, we've seen a bunch of it around here over the years. I'm sure, obviously, it's global. It's not just Utah. But, duct taping a kid to their bed and feeding them a piece of bread once a week until, sadly, they ultimately expire. That's abuse. Smacking you upside the head because you're completely out of control is not abuse. Like I said, punching you in the face, that's a whole different ball of wax. Throwing a kid over your leg and spanking them or smacking them with the belt on their ass, that isn't abuse. I'm sorry. I will never agree with that logic, but, I honestly think that that's probably where a lot of this began, is as soon as they started advocating, probably late 80s, early 90s, perhaps, that it wasn't okay to spank your child. You give him a timeout and talk to him. Just give him a talking to. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because, the kid that's screaming face down on the floor hysterically and bashing his head off the tile and just completely destroying everything within a 5-foot radius. Yeah, he's definitely just down for a good conversation with you. But, again, apparently we see how that worked out. Anyhow, gonna take a break. Be back. Hey guys, Ryan here, a.k.a. the Fatty with a Natty. Are you a business owner or marketing director looking to explore how advertising on the Blowed Out podcast can help your business or organization grow? As we push further into our 4th season, we have gained a listening audience in over 270 cities spread across 58 countries worldwide. All this while continuing to grow every week. In 2026, podcasts will statistically outpace social media, display, and terrestrial radio ads by over 4 times on average. If you would like to discuss pricing, frequency, and ROI options, email us at bloatoutpodcast@gmail.com with marketing in the subject line. That's bloatoutpodcast@gmail.com, subject marketing. All right, kids, we're back. Speaking of stuff to do and monsoon season, Speed Week is coming right up real fast, actually. Typically, it was a little bit farther into August, and this year it is the 1st through the 7th. So if you guys have never been out to Bonneville, out to the Salt Flats, to Mecca for speed, I highly suggest you check it out. If you want to see hundreds of millions of dollars and the most ingenuity and horsepower and crazy shit you've ever seen in your life all in one place, you need to go to Speed Week. It's like nothing else you have ever experienced in your life. I guarantee you that. You guys know I rant and rave about hill climbs because I genuinely love hill climbs. I'm a hill climb junkie, but I am also a salt flat junkie. I have left bits and pieces of me on the salt. Both blood, sweat, tears, skin, clothing, all kinds of stuff. Anyhow, it's August 1st to the 7th. So, and I don't know why they've done this progressively more and more over the years, but the event has shortened in time, probably mostly because of weather. It's a total crapshoot. And that's why I tied it in with monsoon season. If we got, a handful of days of rain out there, it would completely destroy the event. The event wouldn't be able to go on. The Salt Flats have an impermeable layer beneath the crust, so if it rains, it just doesn't soak in. You have to rely on evaporation. So you get that Saturday and Sunday if you would like to get out there and check it out. Wendover is the closest town, but I can tell you from experience, the likelihood that you're going to find a room is very, very slim, unfortunately. But there are plenty of places to camp, and it is super cool because that's where all the racers, a lot of the grassroots guys hang out. That's where we always hung out. Anyhow, it's $25 to get on the salt. It's open pits and it's miles. And like I say, it's the craziest thing you'll ever see. There's typically somewhere in the neighborhood of, between 600 and 900 pre-entries, depending on the year. You got to check it out. Trust me, it's bucket list stuff if you're a gearhead. But anyhow, that's coming right up. So as much as we need rain, at least here in northern Utah, pray for it sooner than later. Maybe a couple of days this week, or maybe just pray for it not to go very far west. Anyhow, you're going to want to check that out. Trust me. There are typically a couple other opportunities between now and the end of the year, with World of Speed in September, but it is a much smaller event. Equally as cool, very, very cool, much more grassroots though. You won't see nearly the huge corporate involvement from all the big manufacturers. I mean, Cadillac and Honda and Freightliner and, well, you name it. There is a lot of money, a lot of really, really cool stuff out there going on during Speed Week. Like I said, World of Speed is a fantastic event also, and I don't have those dates pulled up, but that will be either the first or second weekend in September, and then there should be a Bub motorcycle event somewhere mixed in there towards the end of September, and then World Finals in October. But that's it, guys. It's a very small window that we're able to race out there on the Salt, and I won't personally be involved this year. I haven't been for a handful of years, a lot of years at this point, but life, focus gets redirected. But it is what it is. I still keep very close tabs on it, and I have a lot of very dear friends that participate, and know guys from all over the world that are going to be out there. It's like I said, it's something to behold, I assure you. In fact, now that I got myself triggered on it, I went ahead and looked it up. World of Speed is September 3rd through the 8th, and there is probably still time to get you a room if you're interested in trying to stay in Wendover. It's a total crapshoot. Typically, these things for the events are sold out at least a year in advance. Rooms are booked, all those things. Like I said, there's guys coming from all over the globe. So last minute plans are kind of hard to do as far as lodging in Wendover. But it's not that bad of a drive. Get yourself a room by the Salt Lake Airport and a rental car, and unfortunately they will make you sign a waiver that says you are not allowed to take your rental car on the Salt. So don't do that, or don't tell them, because that'll be a big no-no. But World of Speed is also a fantastic event. That's the one put on by the USFRA, the Utah boys, whom I all of which I adore. Chrysler messed that one up, but that's also a good event if you think you've got something hot and you want to go give it a shot. If you are a Corvette owner and you think it's the fastest thing on the planet, I assure you that you may do 185 on the freeway on the way out there, but you will be hard-pressed to even finish the standing mile. But World of Speed does have a 130 and a 150 mile an hour club that you can participate in without any special licensing or special, at least very specialized hardware on your car. It's basic stuff, guys. It's speed rated tires, obviously a helmet, steel valve stems, drive shaft loop, just basic things like that, protect you and everyone else going 150 miles an hour. But again, if you think you're hot, be my guest, because I can assure you it is not as easy as it sounds. I used to love being out there on the starting line or, wherever involved in the event, and hear all the Corvette guys go and scoff and say, well, hell, I went faster than 130 on the way here. Okay, well, there's the starting line. And, you just got cleared on the course, so get it, Haas. And then you do 2 donuts right off the starting line and don't even know if you're coming or going. Because it's just like driving on ice. It's the damnedest thing and one of the coolest places on earth. And you have not lived until you have watched the sunrise from the Salt. So like I said, super cool stuff. SCTA-BNI.org. We'll get you all the details for Speed Week, and I believe saltflats.com will take you to the USFRA website to get you all the information you would need to know for that. But again, if nothing else, you just need to go see it. You know, like I said, open pits. You're free to wander up and down and say hi to folks, and you will meet guys from all over the globe. You will also meet guys like Gale Banks, you know, all the big names. I could rattle off a whole bunch more, but obviously that's hit or miss. But I can't say enough good things about it. Also, the only place most likely on Earth, there's a couple others, but the only place around this neck of the woods that you may get to see a home-built car going anywhere from 200 to 500 miles an hour with, you know, and you can damn near throw a rock to it. Trust me, this is not like drag racing. This is an entirely different animal. I love drag racing, and I'm a huge fan of Top Fuel. I don't follow it. I mean the sport itself and the technology and the effort and the sheer power involved and everything that goes along with it. I love it. I mean, you know, what red-blooded man doesn't love horsepower? However, this is an entirely different animal, I assure you. You won't feel it in your bones. You'll feel it in your soul. It's wild. You can stand right on the starting line when they take off. You know, granted, some of the heavy hitters, it's pretty lackluster on the starting line, but it also blows your mind what is involved. You know, they don't take off like a dragster because they're geared to go 500 miles an hour. So something even a dragster can't do. They just can't. Sorry. 12,000 horsepower is great, but it only lasts for a second. And you also have to be able to get it to the ground. So if you can't transfer the power, you can have all the horsepower in the world, and it doesn't do you any bit of good. So again, I'll shut up about it now, but you should definitely check it out. As far as hill climbs go, you guys know I'm always going to pimp that. We still have the Great American coming up, the 108th Great American Championship Hill Climb in Billings, Montana, is July 24th and 25th. It is the last hill climb in the Rockwell Hill Climb series. Of course, we were the first with X12. The 108th Great American is the last climb in the series, as far as Rockwell series is concerned. Great time, Grace. Great hill climb. Lots and lots of folks will be there. It's a great hill. If you're going to be in that neck of the woods, or you would rather do hill climbs, well, technically you have time to do both. You could hit Great American and make it back for Bonneville. Great climb. Lots of great-ass folks are going to be there. We wish them all a bunch of luck, and we love the hill climb and land speed families, respectively and immensely. So check it out. They will move on from there into the East-West Shootout, and then ultimately combining, I believe, again at Devil's Staircase for the championships. Or for the, you know, I don't know if they call it World Finals. Hell, I don't know. I should probably pay attention. Technically, I've never been to Devil's Staircase for the big shootout, but that's where East and West will combine and have the championships for the hill climbs. And then I'm certain there are a couple more events, both back east and on the West Coast, as far as AMA goes. And we have folks, you know, homies and loved ones that run those events also. just jump online and check it out if you're looking for something to do. All great events and all something you've got to witness and experience at least once in your life. Promise. Anyhow, lots of stuff to get out and do. Touch some grass, touch some salt, touch some rocks. I don't know. Anything other than stay home and surf the godforsaken internet and look at the day in, day out shite that unfortunately is just becoming the new normal of everything that we are being fed through social and mainstream media. I'm tired of it. And I don't want to do it. So we come up with, other things to talk about like this. Stab a little here, stab a little there. I don't want to talk about the reflecting pool being drained again. I'm sorry. Apparently they've never owned a pool or a hot tub in direct sunlight. Because I can tell you, I've had to deal with plenty of green ones my damn self. It's just how it works. It has to have a filter, and you have to shock it, and that's just how it goes. Either that, or the water has to be, so full of anti-algae and anti-everything else that the ducks don't want to swim in it, and so you get what you get. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Whatever. I assure you that it isn't because of the tire tracks in paint. That's not how that works. But whatever. Anyhow, I feel like I've clearly rattled on enough for this week. So we will move on. Again, I hope everybody's doing good around the globe, wherever you may be listening from. Hopefully it's not as hot as it is here. Need to give a shout out to our partners, Evolution Design Works and Fine Finishes here in Northern Utah. Go ahead and look them up if you need custom fabrication or any type of woodwork, among other things. Check it out, guys. Other than that, we would love to hear from you. Drop us those comments or questions. As always, blowedoutpodcast@gmail.com. In the meantime, hope everyone continues to have a great week. Try and be good to one another. And we love each and every one of you. Hope you'll tell a friend, tell a family member, tell someone to have a listen. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will talk to you guys soon. Okay. Cheers.